Hello and welcome back to the rollback review of Link's Deity sword. On the other parts, we made the handle and the hilt part, and this part we're going to work on the blade. And the blade is especially tricky since you see that this blade curves one over the other. So I made this a loft along a 3D spline. When you work with 3D splines, it can be very daunting at first. They're very gnarly creatures, I guess you can call them. But if you lay out the nice groundwork, the right geometry, and tell the spline to stick to it, it becomes a lot less hectic to work with them. Just like painting, the more prep work you put in, the better the results. So first I start with this kind of layout sketch, or rather this one, I believe. Yes, I start with this layout sketch. So I start a center line here. Let me open it up. Actually, I'll just hide the sketch picture. 1 second. Sketch 1, hide. So what I had was, I had these just straight center lines, and I put down a point every time the blade curves a different direction. Let's put it that way. So there's the sketch, and there's the sketch picture. So we have that geometry there. And now for our 3D spline. And this gets kind of gnarly, but that's okay. So I first put the first point coincident to the end of that center line. You're going to want it to start from this place. And then what I did was I put another point next to it, and then I put an along Z relation between this little joint and that spline point, and I gave it a connecting center line so it can easily control the distance. So here I am controlling how much it curves over, and I do the same thing over here. Put a control point along Z, connect with a center line, and then finally at the very end, the very tip, I put a coincident, and of course I also put a tangency to the center lines at both ends. So that's how I control the 3D spline. And there's no specific measurement technique. It's basically just pulling these out and just saying, hey, that looks good. Let's hope the blades clear each other without merging into each other. And sure enough, I was lucky the first time to have it happen. If they merged into each other, I would just bump up the distances of these until they stop merging each other, little by little, but I was lucky. So this sketch is me starting the blade. So I just did a doubly symmetric diamond shape over here, this rhombus, and then I had the center point pierced to this. And then plane 7 is a special one. So this one's not at all parallel to the top plane. So this one is perpendicular to the path. And the way you get this, of course, is when the plane selection, you click the path and its endpoint, and then you'll get this plane. And it's super useful for tons of things, especially this. So then with that, you can make another diamond sketch just like that. And yeah, these dimensions are just me taking wild guesses. It worked out very well. Doesn't match exactly on the sketch picture, but it's pretty close. So there's that. Okay, so I also realized that I forgot to round these corners off from back in the hilt part, so I just do that really quick. But anyway, now we have all the pieces, and I'll unhide them. So we have that, and that. Show, please. There we go. So we have our two profiles and a center line, which is also enough to do a loft. So I complete that right here. And that is just baseline, no twisting, just two profiles and a center line, and it gives me this lovely result. And as you can notice, it looks kind of strange from this end over here because yeah, swords are supposed to be sharp. But as you can look at the sketch picture, my whole plan all along was to overbuild this, and then I can just cut this bit off, and that will allow it to merge very nicely with the other bit. So another thing that I noticed was this initially looks like a mirror, right? But you can't mirror along any plane and get this special geometry. What this is a circular pattern with 2 instances. So in order to circular pattern, we need an axis. So I just put that right there. It's an axis between the 2 elementary planes. And before I complete the circular pattern, I do a split, and I just use the right plane as the cutting tool, so it makes that sharp. And then the circular pattern will make the other blade, and as you can see, the blades clear each other. I could probably even make them go a little closer to each other, but I think I really like the way it came out. At any rate, I combined them, and thank goodness that went without a hitch. So that's all one body. So I'm gonna hide the sketch picture for this last bit. So I go ahead and make the sheaths over here, but before I do that, I'm gonna start hiding some stuff. So there we go, we've hidden the sketches. So I work on the sheath part, which is kind of like here, I'll just show you the sketch picture again, actually. Hide. Just like this, so it just kind of hugs the blades a little bit and has a bladey look of itself. So go back to hide that. So what I do is I pick these 4 surfaces. So I do it with surface modeling, but nothing too crazy. So I do a surface offset of just a little bit. As you can see, there are the surfaces right there, and they should be knitted together. So I actually can hide this away, and those are just surfaces. So I draw the initial profile that gives it the slant. So I just draw a line and then just use a surface trim. And then I cap it off with a surface plane, because we're eventually going to turn this back into a solid. And then what I want to do is, so it turns out that when I offsetted these surfaces, this little bit of weird geometry came about. So I end up cutting that off too. So I draw a line, and then yet another surface trim, but that means we're gonna have to move it, but that's fine. Surface plane, just like that, and then surface knit turns all of this into a solid. And then I will show you the issue. Since I trimmed the bottom bit, that's kind of floating there. I don't want that. So I just move that down so it touches the plane. And then I circular pattern these using the same axis. And then finally it all comes together with a combine. And there you have it, folks. That is Link's Deity sword. If you like this little review, please remember to give me a like and subscribe if you want some more content. This has been the SolidWorks Nerd. Have a good day.